In some old distant city behind the Rocky Mountains and ancient forests, there lived an old woman with her only son. The woman was over the age of 80. One day her son went up to the hills and was eaten by a tiger. At this the old lady was so overwhelmed with grief that she refused to eat anything. Tears welled from deep inside and flowed down her cheeks. She went to the magistrate of the place and told him her story. The magistrate laughed and asked how she imagined the law being applied to a tiger. But the old lady demanded justice. As the old lady refused to be consoled, the magistrate eventually lost his cool. He ordered her to leave. The old lady paid no attention to this. The magistrate, out of compassion for her older age and unwillingness to resort to extreme measures, promised her that he would have the tiger arrested. Even then, she refused to leave until the warrant was issued. The magistrate, at a loss for words, asked his attendants who would do the job. Leo, who happened to be wildly drunk at that time, stepped forward and said he would. At this point the warrant was immediately issued. The old woman left. When Leo came to his senses, he regretted for what he had done, but, remembering that the whole thing was a trick of his master to get rid of the old woman's annoyances, he did not bother himself much about it, handing in the warrant as if the arrest had been made. "Not so," the magistrate exclaimed, "you said you could do it, and now I'm not going to let you off." Leo was at a loss for words and begged to be allowed to impress the district's hunters. This was agreed upon. He proceeded to spend day and night among the hills in the hope of catching a tiger. This is how he appeared to have fulfilled his duty. A month passed, during which he received several hundred blows with the bamboo. One day in despair, he went to the temple in the eastern suburb. There he prayed and wept alternately on his knees. A tiger eventually came in, and Leo was terrified that he would be eaten alive. But the tiger paid no attention, remaining seated in the doorway. "Oh tiger, if you didn't kill that old woman's son, help me to bind you with this cord," Leo said as he drew a rope from his pocket and threw it around the animal's neck. The tiger drooped its ears and followed Leo to the magistrate's office, allowing itself to be bound. The magistrate then asked the tiger, "Did you eat the old woman's son?" The tiger responded by nodding its head, to which the magistrate replied, "That murderers should suffer death has always been the law. This old woman had only one son, and by killing him, you took away her sole source of support in her declining years. But if you now act as a son to her, your crime will be forgiven." The tiger nodded assent once more, and the magistrate issued orders for his release. This infuriated the old woman, who believed that the tiger should have paid with its life for the death of her son. The next morning, when she opened the door to her cottage, there was a dead deer in front of it. The old woman was able to buy food by selling the flesh and skin. This became a regular occurrence after that. The tiger would sometimes bring her money and valuables, so she became quite wealthy and was much better cared for than she had been by her own son. She became very fond of the tiger, who frequently came and slept on the veranda, staying for an entire day at a time and causing no fear in man or beast. After a few years, the old woman died. However, she was able to have a magnificent funeral with all the money she had saved, and while her relatives were standing around the grave, out rushed a tiger, sending them all fleeing in terror. But the tiger only went up to the mound and then disappeared, roaring like a thunderclap. The locals then erected a shrine in honor of the faithful tiger, which still stands today.